John F. Kennedy settles into office as the 35th President of the United States, the youngest man and the first Roman Catholic ever elected to the office. The first president born in the 20th century, he comes to office after one of the narrowest elections in American history. At 43 years of age, Mr. Kennedy takes over the power that for 8 years has been vested in Dwight D. Eisenhower, who at 70 was the oldest occupant of the White House. Inauguration Day dawns on a Capitol that had been almost paralyzed by a full-fledged blizzard. Battalions of snow fighters kept Pennsylvania Avenue clear for the swearing-in ceremonies. Mr. Eisenhower and Mr. Nixon are present at the conclusion to one of the best-managed transitions of power on record. Despite sub-freezing temperatures, hundreds of thousands watched the ceremonies in front of the Capitol as the new President and Vice President Lyndon Johnson assume office. Slippery streets and snarled traffic cause a delay in the swearing-in ceremonies, a delay which the President and his predecessor pass in serious conversation. Then Lyndon Baines Johnson is sworn in as Vice President by fellow Texan, Speaker of the House Sam Rayburn. The first time, incidentally, a Speaker of the House of Representatives has administered the oath of office to a Vice President. Then, 10 minutes later, John Fitzgerald Kennedy is sworn by Chief Justice Warren as the 35th President of the United States, with the prayers of 4 major faiths to support him in office.
Fitzgerald Kennedy, do solemnly swear.
I, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, do solemnly swear
that you will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States
And will, to the best of your ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Mr. Nixon and Mr. Eisenhower are quick to extend their congratulations. President Kennedy's speech is brief and stirring.
Let the word go forth from this time and place to friend and foe alike that the torch has been passed to a new generation of Americans born in this century, tempered by war, disciplined by a hard and bitter peace, proud of our ancient heritage, and unwilling to witness or permit the slow undoing of those human rights to which this nation has always been committed and to which we are committed today at home and around the world.
A significant portion is addressed to Latin America.
To our sister republics south of our border, we offer a special pledge to convert our good words into good deeds, in a new alliance for progress, to assist free men and free governments in casting off the chains of poverty. But this peaceful revolution of hope cannot become the prey of hostile powers. Let all our neighbors know that we shall join with them to oppose aggression or subversion anywhere in the Americas. And let every other power know that this hemisphere intends to remain the master of its own house.
About a half hour behind schedule, the official party lunches in the Capitol, where the others chat as Mr. Kennedy's meal is interrupted to sign the papers formally nominating his cabinet. Then the procession to the White House and the reviewing stand for the inauguration parade. En route to their new address, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, John and Jacqueline Kennedy are cheered by nearly 1 million. The presiding dignitaries review a vast and impressive array of military units, bands, and drill teams. A 3.5-hour march. Hit of the parade, a replica of a Navy PT boat, like that commanded by President Kennedy in the Pacific in World War II, with most of his crew on hand. A stirring but chilled review in the freezing weather. That night, things warm up. After a brief rest, President Kennedy and the First Lady venture from the White House to attend a round of no less than 5 gala inaugural balls. The presidential couple arrive at the main ball at the Columbia Armory, Washington's resplendent finale to 2.5 days of celebration. A new era begins under the leadership of President John F. Kennedy. Fashion Week in New York City brings together stylists, writers, and buyers from all parts of the country for extensive showings of the new styles. Every item shown is examined in the light of the new First Lady's tastes and preferences. And in the world of high style, an appointment made by Jacqueline Kennedy is bigger news than her husband's cabinet designations. The key Kennedy appointee is designer Oleg Cassini, who has designed a number of dresses for her, including the inaugural ball gown. Now, Mr. Cassini discusses with newsmen some of his plans for the future, revealing sketches not of a new frontier, but perhaps a slightly new hemline. At Fort Myers, spring training begins for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Manager Danny Murtaugh watches his world champions work out. Pitchers Elroy Face, Vernon Law, Harvey Haddix, and Bob Friend loosening up rusty muscles. They're all set to defend their World Series crown again. Catcher Smokey Burgess, who hit .294 last season. Don Hoke. Bill Mazeroski, hero of the last World Series. And Dick Groat. At Palm Springs, owner Gene Autry and manager Bill Rigney are welcomed on behalf of the American League's new Los Angeles club, the Angels. Pitchers Duke Maas, ex-Yankee, Jerry Casale from the Red Sox, and Eli Gruber, another ex-Yankee, are all, like the rest of the squad, recruits from other teams. Southpaw hurlers are Ted Brausfield from the Indians, Bob Sprout from Detroit, and Jack Harshman from the Indians. Owner Autry can't expect a pennant with limited material, but he's got some top men like Eddie Yost, ex-Tiger, and Bob Cerv from the Yankees. Also Steve Bilko and Ted Kluszewski. Familiar faces, all in a brand new uniform. A bold move for safety on the road is made by a major auto manufacturer. To encourage the use of safety seat belts by motorists, one of Detroit's big three announces it will supply seat belts on a non-profit basis to its dealers for installation on any make of car. Use of easily installed seat belts would reduce the danger of severe injuries by over 1/3, experts estimate. Almost 10,000 lives a year could be saved. The dramatic high point of the auto industry's concerted campaign to promote safe driving is the policy announcement by President L.L. Colbert of the Chrysler Corporation.
Two eminent doctors who have given special attention to highway safety told a recent convention of the American Medical Association that almost 10,000 lives could be saved every year through the use of seat belts. We have recommended that the dealer, as a public service, offer the belts to the owners of our cars and to the owners of competitive makes on a non-profit basis, with only a nominal charge for the installation.
This was Patrice Lumumba in June 1960, the premier of the new Congo Republic, waiting with President Kasavubu to greet King Baudouin of Belgium as the king arrived for the ceremonies that would mark Congolese independence. Less than 2 weeks in the future lay the army mutiny that would plunge the Congo into near chaos, bring unprecedented United Nations intervention, and a nightmare period of crisis, coup, plot, and counterplot. The primitive politics and tribal warfare that lay ahead were to prove fertile ground for Soviet agitation. Antoine Gizenga, shown with Lumumba at the UN, is now recognized by the Red Bloc as his political heir. Lumumba's stormy career was checked by Colonel Joseph Mobutu, army strongmen, whose forces seized Lumumba at the beginning of December. Public abuse of the controversial figure was followed by his close confinement in Katanga province. As Lumumba's followers raised the threat of civil war, the news came that he had been slain. Upon Lumumba's death, Russia renewed its attack on Dag Hammarskjöld and the United Nations. In Moscow, students demonstrated at the Belgian embassy as the Soviet repeated demands for Hammarskjöld's resignation and called for a withdrawal of all UN troops from the Congo. The red demands were echoed outside the United Nations building by pickets as the Security Council met. The Soviet theme was picked up by African nationalists in demonstrations in most major cities of the world. The focus was New York, where the future of the United Nations lies at stake upon the Congo issue. Hammarskjöld and the World Organization were defended by American Ambassador Adlai Stevenson against what he termed a Russian declaration of war.
We believe that the only way to keep the Cold War out of the Congo is to keep the United Nations in the Congo. And we call on the Soviet Union to join us in thus ensuring the free and untrammeled exercise by the Congolese people of their right to independence and to democracy. Mr. President, it is the security of all peoples which is threatened by this statement and by the proposals of the Soviet government.
The speech is interrupted by a well-organized demonstration in the gallery. Most of the group are American Negroes, members of African nationalist groups in New York. It's the most violent demonstration by spectators in the World Organization's history. The effect is to underscore the gravity of the Soviet threat. But Hammarskjöld stands firm, refusing to bow to communist pressure. His contention that disaster would result if UN troops leave the Congo is backed both by President Kennedy and by India's neutralist Prime Minister Nehru. As the riot is slowly put down, the stage is set for a test between the free world and the communist bloc, the most critical moment in the 15 years of the United Nations' existence. Stevenson's first address in the United Nations, originally planned otherwise, is diverted to defense of the organization itself, now under its heaviest attack.
May I say that I deeply deplore this outrageous and obviously organized demonstration. To the extent that Americans may have been involved, I apologize on behalf of my government to the members of the Security Council.
At President Kennedy's news conference in Washington, the chief executive announces the creation of a Peace Corps to help the developing countries of the world.
I have today signed an executive order providing for the establishment of a Peace Corps on a temporary pilot basis. I'm also sending to Congress a message proposing authorization of a permanent Peace Corps. This Corps will be a pool of trained men and women sent overseas by the United States government or through private institutions and organizations to help foreign countries meet their urgent needs for skilled manpower. It is our hope to have between 500 to 1,000 people in the field by the end of this year. We will send Americans abroad who are qualified to do a job. We will send those abroad who are committed to the concept which motivates the Peace Corps. It will not be easy. None of the men and women will be paid a salary. They will live at the same level as the citizens of the country which they're sent to.
Interest in President Kennedy's proposed Peace Corps continues to rise among American youth. Here are the forerunners of the Peace Corps: American exchange students, now overseas in backward and depressed areas of the world, giving of their strength, skills, and education in tasks similar to the missions that will be assigned to Peace Corps members. Popular response to the Peace Corps proposal, with thousands of inquiries pouring in before application forms were even ready, is a measure of the younger generation's readiness to accept a bold challenge to positive action. Now, following up his initial announcement, President Kennedy appears before newsreel cameras in the White House to outline the program and the prospects of the Global Peace Corps.
Peace Corps is really the idea of the American people. When I talked last fall about the idea of young American men and women going abroad to serve shoulder to shoulder with the citizens of newly emerging countries, a tremendous response went up from the schools and colleges of the United States. In the last few months, more applications for the Peace Corps have come to us than have come for positions in all the rest of the United States government put together. What is remarkable is that there is no salary for the members of the Peace Corps. They will go abroad and live on the same standard as people of other countries, but they will work with them 2 or 3 years, devoting part of their lives to peace and to strengthening the ties that bind men together all over the globe. Members of the Peace Corps will work in 3 different areas. First, as teachers. Secondly, as agriculturalists, in order to improve agricultural production in the countries to which they're accredited. And third, they will work on health. For example, I would like to see a major worldwide effort carried on to stamp out malaria. They will be available for this work. We will send abroad only those volunteers who are capable and well-trained and who will be welcomed by other countries. Our Peace Corps, I want to emphasize, is not designed as a weapon of propaganda, is not designed as a tool in the Cold War. It is a genuine effort by the people of the United States, particularly those who are young, to play their part in working for peace, in improving the lives of all mankind. It comes, I think, from a deep, historic, and revolutionary experience that we have had. The people of this country are anxious to see a world in peace. Young people in this country are anxious to hold out their hands to people in other worlds. They will learn as much as they will teach. And I hope that it will be possible for them to associate with similar programs in other countries, with a program which might be developed under the leadership of the United Nations. This is an experiment. I hope it will be successful. I hope that from it will come renewed understanding by people all over the world of a common desire for peace. I hope out of it will come a better life for all mankind.
What a beautiful view! And in these words, relayed later from this Project Mercury capsule being readied for America's first human space explorer, you have the theme of this Movietone News presentation. A story starting at Cape Canaveral, Florida, that will see Commander Alan B. Shepard arriving here become Uncle Sam's first astronaut. Preparations are open for all to see, in sharp contrast with the dark secrecy attending all Soviet space shots. For on the ground here with thousands of spectators are representatives of every communication medium to bring to the world in full detail the picture and word story of the scheduled flight, even to the technical trouble and ornery weather that delays the countdown 3.5 hours. A lonely period of high tension for Commander Shepard after he is sealed in the cabin atop the sizzling 83-foot-tall Redstone missile. A test of courage, Shepard meets with calm fortitude and a brisk exchange of comment with the Central Control Tower. Finally, the trouble is overcome and everything is as it should be. The moment for the dramatic countdown is at hand. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff is as near perfect as human skills can make it. And the Redstone rockets into space for 115 miles, with Commander Shepard keeping up a running commentary with the control center. Though during the upward flight, he is experiencing 6 times the force of gravity. A situation followed by a force of more than 10 times when he re-enters the Earth's atmosphere. Now, from this historic flight, you're going to see pictures never before seen by mortal eyes. The first films of a human being in flight in space. That floating strap on Shepard's right shoulder proclaiming his state of weightlessness.
Retro 1. Retro 1 fired. Very smooth. Roger, roger. Retro 1 fired. Very smooth. Retro 2. Retro 2. Retro 3 fired. Looks like we got a beautiful mission going here.
Shepard has freedom of action that enables him to be the first man to direct a flight in space, something the Russians do not claim even for their orbiting cosmonaut. 302 miles at sea and 15 minutes after the launching, the aircraft carrier Lake Champlain sends Marine helicopters to pick up the returning astronaut. And in less than 5 minutes after he lands in the ocean, a horse collar sling cabins the redoubtable space adventurer. And the world knows that the USA's first manned spaceflight is a success, for millions have viewed it. And here it is now for all the rest of the people to see. A triumph openly arrived at that shows the vast difference between free world policies and those of a secretive communist state. Shepard returns in perfect health and none the worse for his remarkable feat. And after retrieving his helmet, reports to the commander of the carrier, while the crew of the Lake Champlain awesomely examines the space-invading capsule, which gets another grateful visit from its thankful passenger. Flown to Andrews Air Force Base outside Washington, there's a family reunion as Commander Shepard is reunited with his wife and his father and mother. Next, the Shepards are invited to the White House, where President Kennedy and Vice President Johnson head the official welcome for America's first spaceman. The First Lady, with a jubilant nation, seconds her husband's words of praise and gratitude.
I want to express, on behalf of us all, the great pleasure we have in welcoming Commander Shepard and Mrs. Shepard here today. I think they know, as citizens of this great country, how proud we are of him, what satisfaction we take in his accomplishment, what a service he has rendered our country. And we're also very proud of Mrs. Shepard. And I also want to pay cognizance of the fact that this flight was made out in the open with all the possibilities of failure, which would have been damaging to our country's prestige. Because great risks were taken in that regard, it seems to me that we have some right to claim that this open society of ours, which risked much, gained much.
Thank you very much, Mr. President and Mr. Webb. I thought that last Friday was a thrilling day. Today even surpasses last Friday. And as a matter of fact, I got far less sleep last night than I did the night before the flight. I am very, very mindful at this moment of the honor which has been bestowed upon me, an honor which is really one which should go to the hundreds of people who made my flight possible. And it is really to these hundreds of people that the accolades of today should go.
A Navy hero himself, President Kennedy, in recognition of Shepard's feat, presents him with the NASA Distinguished Service Medal. Yes, it was a beautiful view.
The Braves beat the Giants in Milwaukee, and baseball history is being made by Willie Mays, who faces Lou Burdett in the first inning and promptly smashes his first home run of the day. Only 8 men, including the great Lou Gehrig, have hit 4 home runs in one game. Today, Willie is joining that select circle. The say-hey boy was hitless in this series against the Braves until today, but he bounces back with a vengeance. His round tripper in the 4th is a 400-foot belt. The fences are bending today, for other players are on home run sprees too. Before the game's over, there'll be 10 circuit crops, including the incomparable Willie's 3rd blast in the 6th. All hit with everything behind it. The Milwaukee crowd is all for Willie now as he steps in the 8th and proceeds to poke his record-tying homer into the stands. Until today, Willie thought he was in a batting slump. Well, he found the cure by scattering baseballs into the bleachers. It was May's Day in Milwaukee as Willie found his page in the record book.
Victim of cancer at the age of 60 and mourned by motion picture fans the world over. Gary Cooper, here with his wife on one of their vacations, proved an avid amateur cinematographer. During World War II, when he was 42, Cooper was a popular USO entertainer. And you see him here in New Guinea on one of his tours to bolster the morale of American fighting men. Montana-born, Cooper was popular with folks in all walks of life. In London, Queen Elizabeth was seen to suggest that she too was one of his admirers. Cooper, during his 30 years in films, twice won coveted Oscars as the par excellence portrayer of the ideal American. Moviedom joins his wife and daughter in their sorrow at his passing.
Cincinnati fans were optimistic as the Reds met the Yankees and pitcher Whitey Ford in the 4th game of the World Series. But Whitey and the Bronx Bombers unlimber superb pitching and murderous bats before the sun sinks on a sad Ohio City. Ford pitches flawless ball before he is injured in the 6th, chalking up 32 scoreless World Series innings and casting Babe Ruth's 43-year-old record into the discard. The Yankees take the 4th game 7-0. Next day, the sky fell in on the Reds. Joey Jay, who pitched the Reds to victory in the 2nd game, is on the mound when the floodgates open. With a man on, 2nd stringer John Blanchard's homer starts the Yankees on their scoring spree. Jay is replaced by Jim Maloney after another run scores, and Hector Lopez promptly sails a triple to the right field corner, and before the 1st inning is over, the Yankees have 5 runs chalked up. Hometown fans see a ray of hope in the 3rd when Frank Robinson, with 2 on, smashes one into the bleachers. This makes it 6-3 and puts the Reds back into the running. But it takes more than optimism to win ball games. The crowd finds out that the Yankees aren't fooling in the very next inning when Lopez adds a homer to his triple, and the Yankees wind up the frame with 5 more runs. In rocking 8 Red pitchers for 15 hits, they rechristen Cincinnati Beltsville on the Ohio. When Vada Pinson flies out for the Reds' last out, the Yanks win their 19th World Series. The jubilant New Yorkers were steered to their crown by Ralph Houk in his 1st year as manager. The Yankees won with their top stars out of action or ineffective. That's fodder for the Hot Stove League. New heights in entertainment are promised airline passengers as Walter Slezak delivers a print of the first motion picture to be shown aloft on a regular schedule. It's a print of Universal International's Come September, which stars Rock Hudson, Gina Lollobrigida, and Sandra Dee with Bobby Darin and Mr. Slezak. He has beautiful accompaniment as he boards the jet for the inaugural flight of Movies Aloft. They will be shown on 5 transcontinental trips and on flights to Europe. Curtain going up, so shades are lowered. The projector is hidden in the ceiling of the plane, and each passenger has lightweight earphones. So you just sit back, relax, and have a true bird's eye view of why movies are better than ever. Walter Slezak has a coveted role in Come September, and at this preview, the actor has a chance to be his own critic. He seems satisfied with his performance. Gina Lollobrigida would make a cross-country hop worthwhile, even if you had no place to go. In the pre-dawn darkness at Cape Canaveral, fuel is piped aboard the Redstone rocket that will carry Captain Virgil Grissom aloft in the second act of the drama that the U.S. hopes will put a man on the moon. The captain, the country's second spaceman, arrives at the launching pad to go aboard the Mercury capsule just about 4 hours before the scheduled launch. There's a hurried pace to pre-launch preparations, and the astronaut has only time for a quick glance at the sky before taking the gantry elevator. Officials are trying to fit the twice-postponed launching into a clear spot in the fast-changing Florida weather, and it's an accelerated countdown. Still, Captain Grissom will have to sweat it out from 4:30 to 8:20 before takeoff. The cameras record drama at its highest as he goes aboard the capsule to follow in the footsteps of Commander Alan Shepard, Jr., the first U.S. man into space. Again, our space shot is being made in the full glare of worldwide publicity. Unlike the Russians, who've never given any advance billing to their attempts and no information on their failures, the United States has invited representatives of all nations to witness our success or failure. With the captain aboard, the 2-ton, $2 million Mercury capsule, named Liberty Bell 7, is poised atop the Redstone as last-minute checks continue. Commander Shepard, the nation's first space traveler, is in the control center as the countdown approaches zero. The historic moment is at hand.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff.
Everything about the takeoff and flight is perfect. A bigger window gives the captain such a view he fell behind on his cockpit checks. He controls the flight of his capsule, as did Commander Shepard, something the Russian astronaut did not do. His flight carries him 118 miles aloft and 303 miles downrange. During the 16-minute flight, he hits a top speed of 5,280 miles an hour. Helicopters take off from the carrier Randolph to pick up astronaut and capsule as his parachute is sighted. Then the heartbreaking finale. As Captain Grissom prepares to leave the Mercury, the explosive bolts let go and blow off the escape hatch cover. While the helicopter tries vainly to keep the capsule afloat, Grissom is forced to swim clear of the whirling blades so that another craft can pick him up. He's in the water for 3 minutes, an intense, real-life drama. Captain Grissom is hauled to safety in a sling, again emphasizing the fact that concern for the astronaut is always of prime importance in our space program. While he is rescued, the other helicopter wrestles with the water-filled capsule, but the weight is too great. It has to be cut loose to rest on the bottom of the sea 3 miles down. A cheering crew on the Randolph welcomes the captain back to the carrier. The nation's second man into space was able to send back invaluable data that pushes forward our program despite the loss of the films and other information aboard the sunken capsule. A salute to Captain Grissom, our new space hero. 15,000 pour into the New York Coliseum for the 1961 International Auto Show. Some to buy, but more there just to marvel at the glimpses of the future, such as this two-wheel monorail. And many come to yearn for such beauties as this American entry. There's power galore represented here. This British Sportster, the XKE, boasts a host of luxury features and highway speeds of 150 miles an hour. At the other extreme, an Oriental entry in the Economy Derby. Economy with a touch of luxury, sort of a rolling boudoir for milady. And for those who like to rough it elegantly, here's a caravan model with full camping facilities that make it a home away from home. In fact, with a buggy like this, who needs a mortgage? Since the days of the Founding Fathers, many of America's great cultural achievements have traveled across the seas to bring joy and enlightenment abroad. The twist is our latest contribution. From Copenhagen to Milan, all Europe is gyrating to the beat of the latest from the crazy Americans. And they love it, all of them. Twist has spilled over from the dance floors to the very seat of business. The dance takes a certain kind of special delivery.